Did you know basketball was invented here? But not in Boston, at the other end of the state in Springfield. Today, the Nesmith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame is a shrine to all things basketball. But it's a museum that almost wasn't.
Our involvement began in 1995. Through a mutual acquaintance, we approached the then executive director of the Basketball Hall of Fame. They were in an existing building that's at the north end of this project site, and their admissions were faltering, and they were thinking about taking the museum and leaving the state of Massachusetts, going to a location that would enable them to boost their admissions. We came in and proposed to them that we would do some feasibility analysis on alternate sites within Massachusetts in the greater Springfield area, because that's where the game was born. We wanted to keep it here. Our legislative delegation was very much in support of that. They didn't want to see the Basketball Hall of Fame Museum move either. The result of that analysis was that this, in fact, was the best site. It had great highway access. It had great visibility. People were used to coming here to see the Basketball Hall of Fame. So we presented that to the Board of Trustees. They agreed that this was the best location, and we then undertook designing a program for them to expand. And this project was absolutely a public-private partnership. The city of Springfield for many, many years had tried to develop the riverfront. Putting the Basketball Hall of Fame here was a big step forward. I think the city's hope was that would be a catalyst so that private development would happen around it.
Just prior to this building, there was a Salvation Army building, and there were also other commercial industrial properties in the area. But prior to that, the property was used by the manufactured gas plant, which was actually located north of here, for the storage of the gas. They had these large above-ground storage tanks right where the Basketball Hall of Fame is located now.
We knew there was a coal gasification plant on the site, in a prime area on the site, so we anticipated that there would be some environmental cleanup.
I think the first time I heard about it is when the city filed an environmental impact report, and we review, MassDEP reviews those. And I work for the Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup, and we get involved with the releases of oil and hazardous materials. So the comment that we put forth to the city was that it's very likely, given the location of the project, that they would run into contamination associated with the former manufactured gas plant.
And they did?
They did.
How bad was it?
It was, when you're talking manufactured gas waste, it's bad. It stinks, it's highly toxic, and it doesn't break down.
A lot of what was in the ground that was hazardous we identified early. There were some things as we were digging that we uncovered that just weren't identified early on, and we went through a process. We had a licensed site professional here during the construction, so when we found a tank that we were unaware of, we handled it in the proper manner. The local DEP office was very cooperative. They understood the importance of our schedule moving forward at a quick pace, and they cooperated. The city, every department within the city was very cooperative. So as we found contamination in the ground, trying to bring the building up from underground, all of that was dealt with in a very speedy manner. Not only was it a contaminated site, as I said, it was an urban renewal site. So there were a lot of rundown buildings. There were some abandoned buildings on the property. And the entire riverfront was not what the city had hoped it would be. And from my client's standpoint, the Basketball Hall of Fame, the neighborhood wasn't a conducive neighborhood for people to travel great distances to visit this museum. So part of their boosting their sales was to increase the size of the museum, put in new exhibits, make it more friendly for the visitors, but also to create a neighborhood around the museum that was appealing and would attract people to come and spend 3, 4, 5 hours on the location. So not only was it helpful and satisfying for us to clean up a contaminated site and recycle it and put it back into productive use, but it was more than just the environmental contamination. It was an urban renewal district, and we've totally redone it, and I think it's one of the things the city's most proud of. We've created a riverfront that's now become one of the key parts of how Springfield markets itself. The Hall of Fame saw their attendance almost double the first year they opened. We've brought in some fine dining restaurants that are some of the best in the city of Springfield. come by on a Friday, Saturday evening, and you'll see this parking lot absolutely packed.
Well, I think the city and the Basketball Hall of Fame had a clear plan in mind, and they weren't going to let any contamination stand in its way. So it was a win-win situation because the cleanup got done and the redevelopment was able to proceed on schedule.